morning, and okay, today we will start making our Inventor class online. Let's see what we have to do today, and in the meantime I will check if everything is working, if we are online. Perfect. And there we go. Okay. We are up and running, and what we should do today? That is very simple. Today we need to continue elements of Inventor that we have started last week. We need to see how to make holes, how to use correctly shell, because I want to show you a couple of things that I haven't explained you last week. Then we will start by exploring the family of objects in Inventor that is called surface. And we will see that they are slightly different because they won't be solid objects. They will be they will have objects with no thickness, but we will see why we have to look at these kind of geometries in Inventor. And especially I will show you how to combine then surfaces with solid objects. So first of all, let me show you this tool here that is hole. Then I will show you one small thing in shell that we haven't seen. And why not? Imagine that into the 2D menu they were also combined. That is something that I pretend that I forgot. So today we will see, basically we'll start with these. Then I have to show you something here, and then I want to show you this button here to be extremely precise. And there is some, I mean, at least one interesting feature that I should explain. So let's start with these. So first of all, hole. Hole, as you can see, is an object, is a tool that is into the solid editing mode, and even the color of the tool that you see that is gray and it has that blue kind of hole inside means that it works with solid objects. And you will see that in Inventor there are three main colors that will tell you the difference between solid objects, surface objects, and something that is called freeform. Solid objects are always gray. Surfaces, and you can see also tools in here that have orange colors, those are for surfaces. While we will see, not this week for sure, but we will see that there is also another feature in the modeling 3D model toolbar that is called box. And box instead is something that is not a proper box, is a free form, and it has that magenta color. Let's start with hole. Hole, as I said, is a modify tool, so it requires you to create something first, and I will simply create whatever extrusion. I mean, just a very basic box, nothing fancy. Extrude. Ooh, I'm working in inches, then I will change it. Okay. But then what is hole? Hole is a tool that basically allows you to create parametric holes by using preset models of screws that you can find in real life. So when I click this plane and then I click hole, what I find in here is that I'm not using dimensions, I'm not drawing the shape of the hole, like with a circle or with other sketches. But in reality, instead, I will click, and that will be the center of the hole. And from, and this is for placement, that means whenever you click, you put a new hole. But then you can choose from here the type of hole. So it can be just a cylindrical hole, and this will give you the dimension. Or you can start using realistic holes by using libraries that you should have already installed. Technically, they are installed by default. So we can find, like, from ANSI M profile, let's say. Then let's say we want like an M4, M3, M6 screw, and we will start by choosing the standard of the hole that we want from this menu. But also in here we will see that we can use slightly different styles of the hole according to which screw we are going to select. And these will make just a cylindrical hole. For example, this one will give you a taper hole, and we can make like the countersink if we are using like an oval. Oops. Let's say this one, ISO. Maybe this is a little bit too thin as a geometry, but basically we will work by simply, and we will choose this one because my extrusion is a little bit too thin, but basically we are going to tell the difference in terms of style of the hole according to the screw that we want to use. Most common one is this one, that is the cylindrical hole, and then we can choose one of these sit in order to make the head flush through the surface. So this way we can create holes not by making a cylinder, extruding it, making it like a difference, so like a pro-Boolean subtraction. In this way, instead, these are parametric holes, and whenever we need them to be changed, we can just, as usual, double click on the hole feature, and we can start simply by changing the head, the style, let's say M10, that would be pretty big, and in this way, I mean, we have also the possibility just to move the center of the hole, pick other positions, and we will click OK, and we will add all these parametric holes to our solid object. And this is first simple thing that I need to show you, because last week we have seen chamfer. And we have seen that we can technically also create like conic holes if we make something, but it has to be made by hand if we do something like this. So if I select this face, but I have to click extrude, create a sketch, then I have to make a circular hole that should match also the diameter of the screw that I'm going to use. Then I have to click extrude, and again I have to select the direction, check the option that I want to cut my object with the extrusion that I'm about to create. But also we've seen last week that we can use chamfer, and we can select this edge here, and we can choose the distance, or we can choose the angle and the distance, or two different distances, and so on and so on. But in this way we were manually creating the hole where we could apply we could fit a screw. This is just a small problem, that is, each time that we change screw type, diameter, each time that we do these, dimensions are going to change, and not only dimensions of the hole itself, but what is going to change will be also the depth and the diameter of the chamfer size. And so, I mean, working with one or two holes like this will be easy. But if we have a complex mechanical part that has plenty of holes, then having them as parametric objects will make our life a lot easier. And this is first tool for today. Then, as I promised, let's see this tool here, the one that is shell, because I just want to show you one small simple thing that is going to be this. So let's delete all these objects. Yes, delete everything. And let's make a new 3D object. I make another box, just bigger, finish, extrude it, why not? Perfect. And now, let's see, shell. When I click shell, there are a few things that I want to show you. That is, first of all, we have inside shell, we have three slightly different options. There are these three buttons here. And let me highlight them so that you can see them better. There are these three options here. What is important to know is that when we create shell, what happens is that if we zoom in, we can see this. We have created our solid object with dimensions that we have selected into the sketch. And what changes now is this. When we give thickness to our solid object, we need to choose where this thickness is going to be placed. What it means? It simply means this. If we zoom in a little bit more, we can see that right now this 0.1 inch of thickness is going inside the volume of the box that I have previously created. What this means is that outer dimensions of my box are not changing at all, and the all thickness that I need will be inside. So inner dimensions will be like final dimension of my box minus those values of walls of my thickness. But this is just by default. First of all, I can change this in this way, and this instead is called outside. That means you are doing the exact opposite. That is, you make your object and you draw it as inner side of your empty solid. When you apply thickness in this way instead, the entire amount of thickness will go outside solid object that you have previously created. So at the end, if you measure your 3D object, it will be exactly the dimensions that you gave it at the beginning plus thickness values that are going all around solid object. Last but not least, we have this third option here that basically splits thickness in order to go half inside the volume of the object that we have created and half outside. So it uses basically the profile of our object as a middle plane for our thickness, and then thickness goes in, like in parallel way, goes halfway inside, halfway outside. We can also see another thing that is right now, let me just make it thicker, let's say 1 inch, perfect. And I click OK. You can see something slightly weird now. That is this. It looks like we haven't done anything. So it looks like our box is exactly like before. But to be honest, we had no error message. So there were no warnings, no elements that can let us think that we are making a mistake. Second of all, we can correctly see in our model explorer here on left of the screen that shell is applied. And also, if we move our mouse onto the shell modifier, we can also see inside our box, we can see a dash dotted white box inside. This is why. Simply because when we apply shell, the most common way to do it is we also click, I will show you, this option, the one that is called remove face. And if we remove a face, we can select at least one face, but technically we can select even more than one face. So in general, shell is used in this way. That is, not only you make your object hollow, but you also remove certain faces. But what is more important is that this is not mandatory. This is something that you may need to do or may not. So if I go back and I just go to shell and I see that my object is currently hollow inside, this can be just the beginning of other adjustments that I can do in my object. Like I can do this now, for example. I can select this face, I can go to extrude, and I will create a sketch. And maybe I will start drawing, why not, a beautiful spline, like this, and I will close it. Then I extrude this spline, and what I will do is, instead of extruding it outside, I will extrude it inside, like so. But you will see, and I'm doing this on purpose because I want to create a hole in the box. And if I click OK, what happens is that I have cut my beautiful empty box with that negative extrusion, but because the box had shell applied before, we can see that the result is that I have created my custom hole, and I can see that inside the object is empty, but it's not like a wrong empty object that has no thickness. This has also this parametric value of thickness that I gave by using, as I said before, shell. And I can keep doing more complex operations, like I can select this top face, I will do another extrusion, I will make another sketch, and why not, I will make another spline also. So I will start cutting this object from the top, extrude, and again, instead of going up, I'll just go inside instead, and then I make a cut, and I can start modeling the hole that I create into my shell object by being 100% free to create it as I wish, and not just by removing a flat face. Also, what is important, and this would be last thing about removing the face into shell, is this. Shell has remove face that works only if we leave a planar face. So what it means is this. Look, if I delete everything and yes, whatever, and I create something that is not a planar face, we have already seen a tool that is called revolve. And why this is important? Because with revolve we make round objects. So by doing round objects, what happens is simply that I will I will create my revolve object so that we also make a review for revolve. Look, I make a beautiful arc. I make, why not, another arc in here, so that I create a closed profile. And I will also draw a line, and the line that I draw, because I want to use it as a axis to rotate my closed sketch, I have to remember that I have to select this one, and I have to select that I want to make it as a center line. So I have to click this tiny button here, and I will check that my line becomes dash dotted, so it will be considered axis. So now, if I click revolve, boom! Inventor immediately finds that the closed shape is there, the axis is there as well, and then I click OK. And I've made this phenomenal, I would say, shape. Where's the trick? The trick is that if I click shell, I can make these becoming hollow as well. But I can't remove any technically face because there are no flat faces. So this is a perfect example where, let's make it like 2 inches because this object is huge. But this is an object that right now has correctly shell going on. And if I click shell, you can see just that kind of dash dotted circle appearing. But if I need to make holes, I need to make them in a completely independent way. So this is when Inventor starts by becoming a little bit more confusing. But this is also when you need to start using all tools that we've seen, because let's say you want to make a hole, and I want to make a hole that's basically removes the top of these objects. There are multiple ways to do it, but I want to make it complex, of course. So what I have to do is this. I will make a plane, and I will start from the top plane. I will make parallel to this plane, so parallel to this, but I want, if I can, no, so I will make just an offset. Okay, so an offset of these, but up here, so above my revolve object. Then here I will make a sketch, and again, just to make, fancy shapes, but to show that you are not limited in using always round rectangular shapes, I will make a spline like these. Perfect. I finish the sketch, and And then I extrude the spline. And I extrude it down here. Okay? In this way, you can notice that by default, what is interesting to notice is that Inventor thinks that I want to join this with my revolved object. So by default, it's giving me the join option. I want to cut it instead. I want to make a hole that will remove the top of this object. So I have to click cut here. Then I click OK. The thing is already visible, but I want to make it more clear. So once that I've used the plane, I don't delete it, because if I delete the plane, I will lose the sketch that I was using. And instead, I will simply right-click and I uncheck visibility. And this is the result that I have. That is, I was able to make my own customized, beautiful hole, okay? And I was able to open an object after using shell, even if it has no flat face that I could quickly remove. And this is, I mean, more or less, I would say, everything that we need to know about using shell modifier in Inventor. Okay? So now, let's see what else we can learn. Just making volume. Okay, so let's see this. I want to show you now a particular family of tools. Technically not tools, more I would say geometries. There is, so let me, it's a little bit sad that I delete this file because it was extremely cool looking, but I will delete it anyway. So I want to show you tools that are here. But not only, because I will show you something slightly more interesting, but let's start understanding this. When in Inventor we see orange geometries, there are also semi-transparent geometries. They are surfaces. So there is a small difference in here, because surfaces are objects that have no thickness, that are just not planar objects, but they are geometries with not thin, but really zero thickness. And we need to understand why we may want to use them. That is not just because they are there and we have to learn them. No, absolutely not. We need to start understanding that surfaces can be then turned into something that can be a solid object, but they can also be used in order to interact with solid objects. Let's see this. First simple basic tool that we have is sorry, not here, I would say here. We have these kind. We have boundary patch, we have sculpt, we have stitch, we have ruled, and what is interesting is that even if here we have surface, we are discovering that all of these objects in reality are objects to modify surfaces that should be previously created. And what looks weird is that we have tools to modify surfaces, but in here, when we have create, we don't see any tool to create a surface. And why this? Simply because surfaces are created in two slightly different ways. There are these. Way number one is if I make whatever, if I use whatever of my, let's go, whatever tool that I know, extrude, revolve, loft, any object that allows you to create 3D solid. Way number one to create a surface is that inside, so let's start by making something that looks like a cylinder, not that big, okay. But if I extrude this object, just by default, Inventor will create these as solid. But first simple way to create a surface is that inside my extrude dialog box, I can see this tiny area on left of this dialog box where I have the option called output. And just in case, I mean, pretending that you're not looking here, I will highlight this part. Look, this is where I would like you to pay attention. In here, we can see that there is something called output. And the output, by default, is always set with this symbol here, that is this yellow box. That means solid. Next to it, instead, we can see this second option that has that color that I was explaining before, that is orange. And you will also notice when you click this second option, not only that, if you just move your mouse and you wait a second, you should read surface. But you see also at screen that the color of your shape is changing from gray to orange. And this also should warn you to the fact that the object that we are about to create will be a surface and not more a solid one. And if I click OK now, this will be a surface. And if I look through, I can see that this object is hollow inside. This option, the option that is the output, is available whatever tool you create. Look, let me create, I mean, whatever else. Let's say we make a loft. So I simply, let me zoom in, sorry, I make a sketch in here, and let's use, I mean, something just different, an ellipse. Why not? Then, when we have seen loft, we have seen that objects can't stay on the same plane. So I will use this plane here, make another sketch, and I will make another ellipse. Maybe this one. No, this loft won't work because shapes will be self-intersecting. So let me for a second adjust this one, because this can stay in here. So I will delete, break the link, and I will move this shape away. Exactly. Okay, now I can use loft, and I will click to add first, second, boom, and I've made my loft object between my two ellipses. But if we double click again into loft, again we can see that we add at the beginning this option here. So I can instead delete loft, and I want delete sketches, so I make loft. I click first surface, and you can notice that before clicking my profiles, surface is an available choice that I can choose. I select now the fact that I want to use this ellipse and this one, and I have clicked surface. I make OK, and again I will see that my loft object has in reality has turned into a surface that has no thickness at all. Why this? Surfaces in Inventor can be used to make several tasks, to be used within several tools. Main, and in my opinion, the one that is most used and the one that makes more sense is by using surfaces in combination with a tool that you find up here that is called split. What is split? Split is basically a tool that allows you to cut solid objects by using surfaces. So let's wait a second. Let me change one small things in here. Just 3 seconds. Okay. So okay. And I'm back. Okay. I'm just checking if someone was chatting, but I don't think so. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, let's recap. I was saying, surfaces are mainly used with split. What it means? It means this. I can create solid objects and I can create surface objects in same exact file. In this way, I can start doing something like this. Look. Let's say I make something simple to start with, and I make a simple, very, very simple box, but not as long, let's say 5 inches, and something very basic. Another thing that I can do is I can create surfaces, and what is interesting is that I can select, I can make surfaces so that they will pass through the object. So, I don't know, I will make something like this. Look, I start by making a sketch on this plane, the plane that is the top of the box. So I will do something like this. Look. Perfect. And I finish this sketch. Then I select the plane that is on the bottom and I make another sketch. And again, I'm just using spline to make things a little bit more spicy, but not because you must use only splines. But if you see now, I have 2 different sketches. They are in 2 different planes, and I will use loft. I will use surface, and I select, by click to add, select these, and then these, and I click OK. As you can see, by using loft, I'm creating a surface loft, and by using surface output into my loft, I'm creating a surface that is fully intersecting the solid object that I have created before. And you can see that is perfectly passing through the entire box that I have created before. This is extremely important simply because now I can use this phenomenal tool that is called split, and the way it works is simply that I click split tool, click this one, and then I have to select faces that I want to split. Probably top one wasn't very useful, but I mean, I click both. Let's see if I click apply what happens. If I click apply, you will notice now that this object, so let me select it, this object now has this line here. Okay, so let me see if I can exactly just hide the surface. I can see this. I can see that I was able, oops, I forgot to select this one, it's okay, but I was able to split these faces of my solid. And this is why, because maybe now I want to extrude this one, I want to extrude this one only, I want to extrude this, so I can make operation not by using the entire face of my object, and I can just use a certain portion of that object. And this is first in a simple thing that you can do with split modifier. But split has something that is even more interesting, that is this. Look, so let me delete this one. Let me show again surface that I've created before, and I will show you another interesting thing that you can do with split, that is this. You can, instead of using face split, there will be something that will just split the face of your solid while the solid will be kept as one single object. What you can do is you can use instead one of these two options called trim solid or split solid. I will use trim solid, that is more visible, and the way that it works is very simple. That is, solid is already selected because it is intersecting the surface. Then you click split tool, and then you have to, this one, select the surface by clicking split tool. But then you can see that there are these two options that are the side to remove. So what happens is basically that if you click this one, you can see a arrow. Let me see if I can zoom in, and also let me highlight this arrow for you. But you can notice this arrow starting from the surface that you see that is actually cutting the solid. This is telling you which part I'm going to cut or not, and we can immediately check that if I click apply or OK, it will be the same. Poof! Solid object will be trimmed by the surface that you were creating. And what is interesting is that in the other part, let me also again hide. So let's click OK. Let me hide these. Oops, wait. I click it twice. Let me hide the. In this way, we were able to make this complex cut in the box by using a surface and by using trim. Another interesting way also to use surfaces is that not only surfaces can be created by using surface output into whatever tool you select, but also surfaces are automatically created if you, for whatever reason, use extrude, revolve, loft, sweep, or whatever, but if you use these features by creating on purpose open profiles. Because if let's say, I go to this vertical plane now. If I make a sketch, and if I draw, look, then I will delete it. But if I draw a closed sketch, then let's say if I use extrude will start thinking that I'm going to make a solid object. But then I can choose the output to be or solid or surface. If I instead click OK, but let me delete this. If I want to extrude, and I extrude on purpose, look, something like this, that, as you may notice, is something that on purpose is an open profile. If I try to do this by using extrude, you will notice that I click the profile and it gives me an error message that says I can't. But why this? This is happening because, again, by default, the output is set on solid. And solid will never work if the profile is open. So if I want to extrude this shape, because I want to make a surface out of that spline, if I select surface before and then I click these, you will notice instead that this will work. So let me also do something like this. And you will notice that by selecting surface, and even if my profile was open, extrude will perfectly work, but it will give me the possibility to create a surface only. Then I can click OK. And now, for example, I can use split tool again, so that I want to trim my object. I have to click split tool because this, and select it. This is the shape that I want to select. I don't want to cut the inside, I just want to remove the outside. So I have to check this that shows me the side of my surface that I'm using to trim. I click OK, poof, and this is my beautiful complex result. And again, if I just right click and uncheck visibility, I can see that in this way I'm going to create extremely complex shapes in my object. And what is great is also that this can be even a starting point of something that then will be even more complex. Like now we have all these sharp looking edges, but we have also seen tools like fillet. So maybe I can use trim before, then I can use fillet, and I can start by rounding, and this not because this is a little bit too, this cannot be used with fillet because this is too thin, and if I have the radius was too big, so let me select a few other edges like these, hopefully this one, yes, fantastic. Maybe this, then this, don't, no, too much, okay, or let's make it thinner, let's see, 0.05, yes, it was too big, so I click OK, and you will notice that starting from that object, I can then making a box, then using trim, then using fillet, and then here to make this object there are multiple steps. There is a box, there has been loft, that has been used in order to cut, make first cut that was going diagonally to cut this face here. Then there is another trim, and I've made another surface by making these, and then fillet to start rounding these edges. I want to show you, I mean, at least just one interesting use of surfaces that should be here. Look, should be by using this tool that is called Sculpt. And why this? This is a feature that, believe it or not, is also inside AutoCAD. But come on, no one uses AutoCAD to make 3D modeling because it is way uncomfortable, and it is extremely far from being user-friendly. So at least I want to show you this particular feature, that is, if we create surfaces in a certain way, that is, we create surfaces that are intersecting each other, and we make them in a way that and we can make as many surfaces that we want, but all surfaces that we create, they will close a certain part of the space. So if we can imagine that we can make a surface down here, a surface next to it, a surface next to it, a surface on front, on the top, on bottom, and so on. If we imagine that we can close a volume, and believe it or not, it's explained like this even into Inventor books, but if we can put water inside a volume and this water won't spill, so we create something that has no holes, believe it or not, we can make a solid from that particular empty area. It is a little bit tricky at the beginning, but I mean, it would be phenomenal. Look, you have to see it. Because let's start by creating a couple of surfaces. So I will make something very, very, very basic like this. So this is the bottom, this is the top. Okay, so let's make something simple. That is this. I will start by making one arc here. No, I don't like it. Wait. Cancel. No, make it better. From here to here. Like this. And I click finish. Then I make another sketch on the same plane. And I make another arc. Let's say this. Arc. Here. Like that. Finish. Why not? Select the same plane, make another sketch, and I will just to use a lot of fantasy, I will use another time arc. I make these and I click finish. Make another one, sketch for you. Which shape I'm going to create? Of course, another arc. Yeah, why not? I'm almost there, but I want to make something more beautiful. That is this. First of all, I've made these 4 sketches because now I can start by creating from each of these sketches. I can start by creating extruded vertical surfaces. And wait a second, let me just select the exposure of the camera. That is a little bit too much. Okay. See if it works. It doesn't. Okay. Let's click cancel. I mean, I look like I'm in heaven right now, but I'm not. Anyway. So, I will extrude these. I will extrude the second. I will extrude third. And I will extrude fourth. And I can see that I have these 4 completely independent extruded surfaces. Okay? What I have to do now is this. Can you see that inside these 4 surfaces there is this part of the space? This cannot be used immediately with sculpt because technically water could pass through this space. So I need to make a cap that will limit the volume below and something that will limit the volume above. And I will do 2 more surfaces. I will make them slightly different in this way. I will make a sketch in here and yes, let's make a spline just to make something different, something like this. And this would be, for me, what would be the bottom cap. And if I finish this sketch and I select extrude, what I want to do now is this. Can you see that this line is on the mid-plane, on the middle of my hole? So I don't want to use extrusion in one side only, but I have to use symmetric extrusion so that it will go both directions and it will cap bottom part of this surface combination. I will do something on this plane. No, this I already used. On this one, make another sketch, and I will create another spline, maybe. And I will extrude this one as well. Again, this goes from mid-plane, so I make extrusion in both directions. Okay? And wait a second, because my first chat message, fantastic. Someone says, you said we can use split tool to extrude different phase of an object. Whoa. Let me finish this first. But see this. Look what we have created now by having all these surfaces. That is this. If you notice, let me delete this sketch. In here we can see that there is these, there is these, there is basically this part of the volume that is entirely inside these 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 surfaces. So what we can do now, and only because there are no gaps, is we can use sculpt. We select our surfaces, should be 6 surfaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, correct. We can see immediately a green preview of our object. So now what we can do is this. If we click OK, boom! This would be the solid that was included into the volume of our phenomenal surfaces. Okay? Does it make sense? Yes? No? Maybe? No? Let's see. I will show you again this feature, but then we will also answer the question that is how to extrude a face. That is not that hard. Yes, delete everything. So let's delete these things, because what I did before was this. Look, in the previous example, I have made these, I have extruded, and what we have seen was this. Let's see if I can quickly, we'll do this. So I make a sketch, and I will make these. I make a spline. Okay. Then we can finish the sketch. We will extrude this one. That is going to be a surface, so I'm selecting surface output. I will make distance, and I will increase the distance. Both sides, why not? Yes. So, what is split face? Split face is this. If I click split, split tool is my surface. And then faces. Let's say I want to split this face only, this one. And then I click OK. What I will see is this. I just hide the surface. I will see that this face is split into different areas. So why this becomes interesting? Simply because these are planar faces and they are divided in 2 areas. But most important is that I have the trace of the surface that I've used to make the split. So if I want to extrude that face, I select this as a plane. I click extrude and I create a sketch. But I'm not going to draw again these objects while I just click project geometry and I select the face, not even each edge. By selecting the face, Inventor finds and creates a copy of the loop of edges that were basically closing that face. So now, if I extrude, I will extrude that particular face. And I can also go inside, I can do these, I can do outside, I mean, 100% free to extrude it as I wish. Okay, I can do the same here. I can click extrude, create a sketch, but I won't really create a sketch while I click project geometry and I select the face that I have cut by using split. Poof! And by clicking the face, Inventor finds the overall profile of the face that I've selected. Now I can extrude it, let's say like that, or I can go inside, click OK, and I can start modeling my object with multiple tools. I just want to, I mean, we will probably finish before the 2 hours, because this is more like a monologue, but I don't even want to explain so many things that the lesson will be confusing. I just want to make just another example in using sculpt with surface. Then next week we will continue from surface, and I will show you a lot more tools. So I will show you trim surface, I will show you ruled surface, stitch surface, and a few more things. And repair bodies is something that I use when I bring surfaces from other softwares to Inventor. So I don't know, probably not, probably yes. I will show you a real example of a work that I'm actually doing. But let me show you just one more example in using sculpt. That is this. Again, sculpt allows you to create solid objects by having surfaces that are closing a certain part of the volume of the space. So let's make something like this. Why not? Let's do something like a sketch, and I will make I mean, making a box would be overcomplicated if we use sculpt. So I will just create like a ellipse here. Perfect. And I select this sketch, I click extrude, but again, because this was a closed profile, Inventor wants by default making an output to be a solid, while I will make a surface on purpose. Then I make OK, and then I will basically start by creating several other surfaces. So I will go to, why not, this plane here, and I can make, let's make it really complex now, and I make a revolve. Why not? So I make a revolve, but what I will do is I will draw an open profile. Then I will draw this line, and this line for me is going to be my center line. In this way, when I make revolve and I make output as a surface, and I choose and I select this profile, you can see that, oops, the profile will be extruded around the axis, but the profile that I create will be a surface as well. Okay? Can you see that if I look from the front, I can see that these two surfaces are intersecting each other. But if you notice, if I look from the right, I can see that here I have a gap. Why this is important? This is important because if I keep these holes in my sculpt tool will basically fail because there will be like empty areas that could be potentially like where water will spill. So I will select this plane. Maybe I just make, not this one, sorry. I will use this plane here, yes. And I will make this sketch like one arc in here. And I finish the sketch. And I make another one in this plane. And I make just another arc, again, like this. And I will create surfaces out from these sketches. So I will extrude these. I will extrude this as well. Again, both directions. And I hope, yeah, it should be fine, that the top part will be entirely closed by using this weird setup of surfaces. Then I will simply make, just to recap, I will make a loft to close the bottom. And I will make a loft like this. Look, we have studied that we can make offset planes starting from one and making more. So I will make an offset from this vertical plane. I will place it here. Then make another offset and I will place it there. Fantastic. And then I will make shape on this plane. So I select this one and make a sketch, and why not an arc. And I will make these 1, 2, I'll make these and that and up. Then I select plane in the middle, make another sketch, and this time I will make another arc, but it will be like this. And I click OK. Last but not least, I select my third working plane that I've created, make another sketch, and I will make another arc that again will be, I will just make it slightly different so that you see the difference, not because you need to do it, but I create these 3 green sketches into 3 parallel planes. So next I make a loft, surface, I add 1 and then 2 and then 3, so I create this plane that is curvy, then curved down, then curved up. But again, this is a surface that will intersect all these objects together. Believe it or not, now, if I'm hopefully lucky, I select, not this one, this is the plane, sorry. So let's hide them. But if I click Sculpt and I select all these surfaces together, if they have no gap, and I'm super sure that they have no gap, you will see that there will be a green semi-transparent solid object appearing. That is the volume that these surfaces are holding inside, and with Sculpt you can turn that empty volume into a solid. So I click OK, and I will find at the end these, let me tell you, extremely organic, complex model created that would be pretty tough to be made in other ways, because another way to make these is you should start by making a solid and make each individual surface, and then you should make several surfaces, then using several times trim, and you have to click one trim operation each surface that you create. But again, this can be just the starting point of something more complex, and just because it should look interesting, we can check if we can fillet these edges to make something even more organic. Let's see if we can go higher into the radius. 25. Let's see till where we can go. 0.5. Why not? We click OK. And then, starting from that object, we have created this organic, interesting looking 3D model. Okay? If is there anyone that has some questions, do questions now, because if not, for today this will be enough. And in the meantime, let me open the server to check, wait a second, if we can have a beautiful homework, let's say. Okay, first of all, homeworks are about to arrive. Okay, while revisions, this is a tough question for now. For now, revisions are, there are no revisions for now, because we can do them by mail. They make no sense. So for now there are no revisions, and we will try to make these live streamed lessons as far as we can. Okay, so in 1 second you will find that into the Google Drive I'm going to place more shapes that you can make as 3D objects, and they will be these. One will be these, one will be that, one will be this one, and you can see that things are starting to be a little bit more complex. So let's see this. First of all, let's try to reach Google Drive. Then how we submit the homeworks. Oh my gosh, yes. Homeworks. I mean, this is first day that school is closed. Let me think. First of all, you for my class right now, you have 1 week to submit these. So I will hopefully find an interesting way to submit homeworks. I'm thinking about making like a shared new Google Drive folder, probably more oriented like these, like so that you can open it and you can upload your stuff. The thing is, The thing is, it's pretty complex to make a folder that is open to anyone. So I'm figuring out how to do this. So this will require a little bit of extra work from me. So give me just 1 second so that I can go to the Google Drive. Okay. Let's see. Google Drive. Fantastic. I mean, even if, and then of course you can check it right now. Okay, Marco. Inventor. I will make new folder called homework 4, and exactly is empty right now, but I will place these pictures here. Let's see. Fantastic. Okay, now if you go to the Google Drive, you can check that there are already these 3 pictures that I'm showing you right now uploaded. So there are these, and that, and you should make these 3D models as 3 different Inventor parts. For in order to submit your homeworks, give me a couple of days more. I will find a phenomenal solution so that can be applied not only to our class but also to other teachers' class. But I mean, we were already prepared for lessons, not for homework. So we need just a couple of days to fix whatever we can fix. Is it fine? Last questions, if you have them. Yeah, no, yes. Also, I'm proud that I can see that there are 11 viewers. So I mean, that is more or less real number of my students in this class. 2020, come on, 2020, why? If you use 2020, that is fine, because I will check homeworks at home in any case, and at home I have Inventor 2020, so there is no issue about that. So just send me the original file, no, not a video, no, absolutely not. Okay? So right now you can't upload files. Right now you can't upload files into the drive, because right now the drive can be accessed only for few accounts that are basically only teachers, and not only. Each teacher can enter in its own folder. This is the problem. The problem is that Google folders are easy, but you should technically do something that is quite impossible to be done physically, because I should create a folder on Google Drive. Then you should send me an email. Then I should add the permission to that folder that you are able to upload thing, and so on and so on. So I need to see if it exists already a solution where everyone can upload things in a cloud folder. There can be another similar solution like Google Drive, but it can be a Dropbox, it can be, but we haven't prepared already a online folder where all students can upload their homeworks. Working by mail can be a solution, but not now. I will tell you in a couple of days, or you will receive messages from the FDA directly, or if you look into the FDA secretary. I need to find a way that is reliable for all teachers. So I can just say my homeworks will be submitted like this, and then other teachers, I mean, who cares? No, I need to find a technical solution that will be fine for all. So give me, I mean, just a couple of days, and I will try to find a clever solution, hopefully a clever solution, to let all students uploading their homeworks. Clear? Perfect. Yes. So, no more questions. It means I'm going to leave. And remember, like and subscribe. Okay? Bye. I will just leave the camera on, I mean, just to see if there is any other message. But for now, bye.